Hello viewers, this is Dr. Alok Chajed on Already Late, your favorite channel for simplified learning about the complexities of the world of finance. The United States has included India in its monitoring list of countries with potentially questionable foreign exchange policies and currency manipulation. In this video, I will tell you what currency manipulation is, why has India been put on this list, and what are the consequences of this move by the United States. Let's start with a simple question. What does the term currency manipulator mean? This is a tag given by the US government to those countries which it feels are engaging in unfair currency practices by deliberately devaluing their currency against the dollar. In simple words, according to US, India is allowing rupee to depreciate. The value of currency, like any other commodity, will move based on demand and supply. In the recent past, we saw prices of onions increase from an average of 20 rupees per kg to almost 100 rupees per kg. Why was this? This was because the supply of onions could not meet the demand for it. Exactly in the same manner, if the demand for dollar is high, you will find that people are willing to pay more rupees for the same dollar. The result is dollar becomes more valuable, and this is what technically is known as dollar appreciating in value and the rupee depreciating. The exact opposite will happen if demand for rupee increases. Any country that engages deliberately in devaluing its currency is labeled as currency manipulator. If US is right in its assessment, the next question is, why is India doing this? Every central bank plays a key role in controlling the demand and supply of currency, and in our country, RBI is no different. RBI over the last few months has been selling rupees and buying dollars and increasing its dollar reserves. This has resulted in depreciation of the rupee. The reason behind this move by RBI has its own merits. Let's say you are an exporter and you have two situations. Which one would you prefer? The first one says 1 US dollar at 68 rupees, and the second one is 1 US dollar at 74 rupees. So, which one is better suited for you if you are an exporter? As an exporter in India, when you earn in dollars, you will definitely earn more by converting them at 74 rupees per dollar than at 68 rupees. The same can be said about any importer in US who is importing from India. The importer there benefits, and thus Indian goods and services will have an advantage over those which are being produced locally. And that is where US will definitely have a problem. But as I mentioned earlier, this currency management is an important function for any central bank, and every bank, including the US Federal Reserve, engages in this activity. So, why are only we being labeled as currency manipulators? Now, the US has three parameters which it uses to put any country into this list. The first parameter is a bilateral trade surplus of more than 20 billion US dollars. This means that any country, including India, has to maintain the difference between its export to US and imports from US below $20 billion. India, with a trade surplus of $22 billion, has breached this level in June 2020, prompting US to take this action. The second parameter is to have a current account surplus of at least 3% of GDP for the last 12 months. What is current account? Current account for a country is basically recording all the exports and imports of goods and services of that country. A surplus in current account means the value of exports of a country is higher than the imports. India historically always had a current account deficit but recorded a current account surplus of $19.8 billion or 3.9% of the GDP for the quarter ending June 2020. Now, this was largely due to the low demand of our two large imports, fuel and gold. Lockdown, no fuel, hardly any gold. So, the surplus is likely to reduce or even go back to deficit over the next few quarters. This means that India's exports and imports will continue to be balanced, and we do not run a risk of breaching this particular parameter. The third parameter is purchasing foreign currency to the extent of over 2% of GDP of the last 12 months. This is an indicator of how much US dollar the RBI is buying. An excess of over 2% could mean that the country, RBI, is deliberately trying to keep the currency undervalued to gain a competitive advantage for its exporters. The focus of RBI over the last few months has been to increase our dollar reserves, and in this process, we have breached this limit by purchasing foreign currency worth 2.4% of our GDP. This means that we have breached 2 out of 3 conditions, and that is why we have been put by US on the monitoring list of currency manipulators. Now that we are on this list, what are the consequences? First of all, let me be very clear that we have been put on the monitoring list. We have not been labeled as currency manipulators, which is the next level. And to give you some more perspective, India was put on this list in 2018 as well, and only to be removed in 2019. And with this re-entry into the list, we are now in company of Germany, Korea, Japan, China, Singapore, Taiwan, Italy, Thailand, and Malaysia. Vietnam and Switzerland are two countries that are actually labeled as active manipulators of currency. While there is nothing to worry while we are on the monitoring list, there could be serious issues if we are clubbed with Switzerland and Vietnam. That is, if we become active manipulators. So, if at all we become active manipulators, US will want us to take corrective measures, which will mean somehow reduce your exports, increase your imports to bring that balance. So, US might not allow Indian businesses to participate in some of its government contracts or impose any other trade restrictions. Being on the list of active manipulator is definitely a big risk. But should Indian businesses be worried? Not really. As I mentioned earlier, our high current account surplus is just a blip, and even RBI purchasing dollars is expected to reduce as economy starts moving towards stability. All in all, the current situation is not alarming at all. You just don't have to be worried. It's just something news, and we need to learn what it is. That's all. So please do let me know how you like this video. Do drop in your comments and share this video with others who may find it useful. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not done it yet. And lastly, keep learning. Thank you.